Hello, SHA community. Your retreat is not your defeat. When you are called to go deep into your own self, whether that's something that you chose or something that chose you, it is a sacred call when we have to release the outer world, when we have no other choice but to go within. This could be for multiple different reasons. Some of it could be related to conflict, that when we pull back and we decide to give to ourselves rather than giving our energy outwardly, that it may be seen as a defeat, or that you may perceive that by holding back, by giving yourself the space, that you might not be on the front foot. When we're dealing with outward conflict, there's always the opportunity to maintain that outer position or to step into the inner position. Your retreat is not your defeat. It's actually your gift. The ability to go within and resource your connection with your higher self or your expanded self is a very powerful tool. When we are dealing with the outer world and all of the perceived conflict or even perceived drama, without us realizing, we're often plugged in or we're engaged within the story of what is happening or perceivably happening based on the perspective that we have at that time. When we retreat within, we are given an opportunity to explore different perspectives and not define ourselves outwardly by those perspectives. If people around you are pushing you to a timeline that does not fit to your own, if people around you are expecting you to respond a certain way on their terms, there is something always to be learned about who we are in those times. Sometimes we can perceive the most harmonious thing to be what other people want, to appeal to the outer world as a way of avoiding conflict. But often when we haven't given ourselves time to properly process our experience, we will be a bit off balance. We might not realize it. We might not even be at the stage where that's obvious. But if we are working to other people's timelines or other people's perspectives or other people's expectations, on some level, we're giving our power away to people, to situations, circumstances, and scenarios outwardly. Sometimes this can work. Sometimes it's required. Sometimes we have to, in moments, compromise for certain things. But it's really important to recognize your power of retreat. That's right, it's a power. Your power of retreat is your divine right. It doesn't matter what anyone else says to you or how they expect you to show up. This does not give you a reason to shirk off responsibilities, or when you've given your word to something that you know you want to be a part of, but maybe have insecurity around. I'm not talking about those particular situations, and we can address those. I'm talking about the pressures and the expectations that other people put upon us to play a certain role. Sometimes that is the role we're here to play. Sometimes it's not. That retreat is a self-love. That retreat is a nourishment that we can give to ourselves as self-healers. It allows us to reevaluate, reignite, and realign our priorities. Because we're allowed to grow and we're allowed to change. And sometimes something just doesn't feel right, but on a mental level, you feel you should do this or you think you should do something. But on an inward level, there is something within us that is calling us to the deep and dark aspects of ourselves. As I said in the video, the tussle of light and dark within you. Darkness isn't evil. Darkness isn't bad. It's unconscious. It's our unconscious ocean. It's actually a resource, a very powerful resource. It is an opportunity to dive deep. At times, in situations, we might not be listening to the messages or to the signs. There may be things that are just not flowing for you. And you might not realize there is a message telling you, hey, retreat. It's your divine right. When we don't listen to that call to the darkness within ourselves, to that unconscious ocean, which has a lot of the answers that our conscious mind can't perceive from the conscious mind reality, being given or giving yourself the opportunity to go into that ocean and dive deep can actually totally transform your whole perspective on a situation. Often we feel like we need to be doing, we need to be acting. If there's a conflict, we need to be responding immediately. But the truth is that some battles are not yours to fight. There's a phrase, pick your battles. I've heard people say that lately, and it's true. Is this battle that you may be fighting or in really yours to fight? Is it really relevant to you? Will you benefit ultimately by getting outwardly involved, especially without taking the space within self to truly honor one's creativity, one's sense of self, one's unconscious ocean, where so many magical aspects of our true beingness can bring bubbles from deep down in the bottoms of the ocean up to the surface through that space of retreat. Your retreat is not your defeat. It never was. When you go deep into that space of receptivity, miracles happen. Ideas happen. Your imagination is allowed to express itself in your being. When you are only tapped in to the conscious mind, into the day-to-day world, and you aren't taking that space to pull back, feel things out, attune, assess, and align into your deeper truth, which you might not even know exists until you go into that retreat. Sometimes something happens, like we get unwell, we go through some sort of little flare-up of something. We go through something that forces us to really stay within our own presence and not be interacting with other beings directly in the same way that we were. Often people resist this. They want to push through this. They're not recognizing the gift that Great Spirit is giving us to hone into, to dive deep into. We never have to respond on other people's timelines. In situations where conflict has happened or happening, we never have to operate on somebody else's artificial timeline, because that's what it is. It's an artificial timeline. It is very different when we're talking about the world and the responsibilities that we have committed to, relationships that we have, partnership. If you're a mother and your partner, you have these responsibilities, and that's a different thing. But it's still really important to have that retreat, and really important to prioritize that, even if it's 5 minutes a day, even if it's an hour a week, whatever. There are so many situations that have solutions that don't involve you necessarily having to go outwardly. There are so many situations that have miraculous possible solutions in terms of conflict, for example, that we can't see when we're attached within the conscious mind reality. I'm not saying that when you go into the retreat that you're completely unconscious. What I'm saying is you are bringing your light into that darkness, and you become the light within that darkness. And that reflection of your light in that darkness mirrors back to you facets of your own unconscious processes, feelings, things that you might not necessarily have realized are part of your toolbox. And until you had that space within to do that, you wouldn't even know to call it in. Your retreat is not your defeat. If you are in conflict with someone who you perceive to be narcissistic or has some sort of self-oriented agenda, and maybe there's habits in that relationship which are not healthy or helpful to you in the long run, that is a very difficult situation. And it can pull you in directions that are not in alignment with your purpose or your mission, that you think you're harmonizing something outwardly, but actually you're allowing yourself to be pulled off your path. This is not about blame, obviously. This is more about the bigger picture of us walking our mission here on earth, us living our truth and owning, reclaiming, and fully embracing ourselves for who we truly are, not who others want us to be, not what others want from us, not the expectations that other people put upon us. We have a deep resource of wisdom available to us at all times. We are self-healing, we are whole, we're complete within our own being. No one externally can complete us any more than we can complete ourselves. Ultimately, our pathway is remembering our own completion, our own resourcing of answers or questions, or both, and our own inner strength and resilience to meet the challenges of the outer world. Our gift to ourselves is retreat. Our self-healing, our place of clearing is our retreat. And when we feel steady, clear, firm in our truth, when we feel that inner central aspect of our being directly connected with our expanded or higher self, connected to source, you feel it, you know it, you're in alignment to that energy, to that abundance, to that unconditional presence in which we are yet we're having the experience of human traveling, human exploration, to remember that connection with our expanded or higher self. That retreat is your medicine. It is your divine calling. And it is your divine right. Reclaim your retreat within now. We deserve that. You deserve that. Thank you.